It is always a displeasure watching your team's quarterback do badly, but it is also satisfying seeing the other team's quarterback do even worse. When both happen, it is a spectacle we will see coming in this video. The Carolina Panthers' second game ever would happen in Buffalo. Here we saw 4-time Super Bowl loser Jim Kelly face off against old teammate and also 4-time Super Bowl loser Frank Reich. It didn't go too well for Buffalo at first. Jim Kelly is a Hall of Famer, but in the first half only managed to complete 1 out of 11 passes for 4 yards and 2 interceptions. More completions to the other team than his own. Things didn't go so well for the other team either. Frank Reich threw for 3 of 11 for 18 net yards, but no interceptions. The second half didn't start too well either. Jim Kelly would throw another incompletion, then his third interception of the day. It is now 9-0 Carolina. Can the Bills make a comeback? The answer would be yes. They would win 31-9. The final numbers for Buffalo would be as such. Look at that. 4 completions for 176 yards. Carolina's final numbers were worse. Reich went 6 for 21, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, 44 yards, 2 fumbles, and a rating of 19.7. This is the middle of a stretch where Reich played for 4 teams in 4 seasons. That's one common thing we'll see throughout this video: journeyman quarterbacks. Towards the end of the game, Reich was taken out and Kerry Collins was put in. He would throw 2 incompletions, ending with the highest QB rating of the day at 39.6. Kerry Collins is another journeyman quarterback, playing for 6 teams. Collins would also start in a Super Bowl. Noticing a pattern here? And the next spot on my list is a surprising matchup between Super Bowl starter and winner Brad Johnson and Rex Grossman, who would start a Super Bowl that season. Rex Grossman is an odd quarterback. He is the grandson of another NFL player, also named Rex Grossman. In this game, he would go 6 of 19 for 34 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a rating of 1.3. Brad Johnson was 38 and had played 12 seasons before this one. This was his second stint with the Vikings, on his way to play for 4 different teams. He would throw 11 of 26, 73 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a rating of 10.3, including a pick 6. During garbage time, the Vikings tried 2 more quarterbacks, the first being Brooke Bollinger. He went 7 of 9 for 70 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a rating of 99.1. Then the Vikings put in rookie Tavares Jackson, may he rest in peace. He went 3 of 4 for 35 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, with a rating of 101. Tavares Jackson later played for Seattle. In 2011, he led the league in sack yardage. He also won a Super Bowl as a backup. All in all, the stars of both teams combined for 17 of 45, 107 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, and a rating of 6.4. I know this is technically a bad weather game, but that still shouldn't excuse this type of a performance. This game featured a matchup between John Hadle and James Harris on the Rams, and Jerry Tagg on the other. John Hadle was drafted in 1962 by both the Chargers and the Lions. He decided to go with the Chargers. Good choice. He is an accomplished quarterback, having gone to 6 Pro Bowls and winning the AFL Championship. However, this was his 13th season and he was on the decline. He threw 6 out of 16 for 59 and 0 touchdowns and 2 picks. If you think that's bad, it gets even worse. The Rams put in James Harris, who went 3 of 12 for 50 yards and 0 touchdowns and 2 picks. Against all odds, he would make his only Pro Bowl that season. If you thought that was bad, it gets even worse. The Packers QB through this whole game was a guy named Jerry Tagg. He threw 2 of 9 for 17 yards, 0 touchdowns and 1 pick, ending with a rating of absolute 0. Factoring in sacks, the Packers gained a total -1 net passing yards. Tage had played the previous year and threw 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and somehow the Packers decided they wanted this guy for another year. This year he was somehow even worse, throwing for 1 touchdown and 10 interceptions. Did I also mention that this guy was a first-round pick? What a bust. Green Bay must have seen something in the other team's quarterback because they decided to sign John Hadel later that season after the Rams, understandably, let him go. He would then throw for 3 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and then play in the next season, where he'd throw 6 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. This next matchup is probably the most surprising of them all. This was a matchup between the best quarterback in Raiders history and the best quarterback in Bengals history. Hall of Famer Ken Stabler and not Hall of Famer Ken Anderson. Both Ken starred in a Super Bowl. Both QBs have won an MVP. Both QBs have made 4 Pro Bowls and 1 All-Pro team. So, which Ken can throw better? The answer is apparently neither, because both QBs would throw 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions apiece. The Stabler Ken completing only a third of his passes, while Kenny Andy completing only 21% of his. Stabler's performance during that season was a doozy. After this game, his numbers for the season were 1 touchdown to 12 interceptions. This is only a year after he made the first team All-Pro, meaning he was best in the league. Stabler would do the hokey pokey and turn himself around, and lead the league in completion percentage the following year. For the other Ken, this was a standout game, as he made the Pro Bowl that season and threw 21 touchdowns to 7 picks, if you exclude this game. He also led the league in passing yards and yards per attempt. For this last game, we have a critical late season matchup. The Falcons came in 8-4, running a 7-game win streak, looking to make the playoffs for the first time ever. Meanwhile, the Cardinals came in having won only 1 of their last 10. This would be the battle of the red teams. There was more red here than a pickle covered in ketchup. More red than a wrecked tomato truck. More red than the face of Alex Jones. Onto the game itself. This is the only game in NFL history in which both starting quarterbacks ended with a QB rating of 0. Keep in mind, throwing only incomplete passes gives you a rating of 39.6, so this is astonishing. Onto the result of the game, the Falcons would go up 10-0, only to blow the lead and lose by a scoregami of 32-10. The only offensive touchdown of the game came from Jim Otis of the Cards. Actually, that's a lie. The Cards also scored on this wild play off of their own fumble. This game would cost Atlanta a playoff spot. About the QBs themselves. On the Cards we have Gary Keithley. This is the first game he ever started in the only season he ever played. He went 2 out of 10 for the whole 9 yards and a pick. Playing only a fifth of his passes, maybe we should call him a nickelback instead of a quarterback. On the Falcons, we have Bob Lee starting. He would go 3 out of 16, 27 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Bob Lee would play as a backup on 3 Super Bowl teams, even throwing a touchdown in Super Bowl 11. He would lose all games. The other Falcons QB may be even worse. Pat Sullivan was put in later in the game and went 5 of 15 for 51 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 picks, and a rating of 44, which is just barely better than throwing only incompletions. His career numbers would be 5 touchdowns to 16 interceptions. He was better at throwing to the other team than his own. The other QB on the Falcons roster that they didn't play was none other than the unfortunately named Dick Shiner. Why wouldn't they play the legend himself? Well, he didn't shine too much of anything in Atlanta, so they traded him away to New England. Wouldn't be the last time Atlanta would hand something great over to New England.